You've been brushing your teeth, turning off the lights, and climbing into bed the same way for decades. But recent findings from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology reveal something genuinely disturbing. 5 common nighttime habits are silently destroying your glucose regulation while you sleep. And here's what makes this particularly cruel. Most of these behaviors feel healthy, even responsible. You're doing them because you think they're good for you. Meanwhile, your pancreas is working overtime, your cells are becoming resistant to insulin, and your fasting blood sugar is creeping upward month after month without a single warning sign. The worst part? Number 4 on this list affects nearly 73% of people over 60, and almost nobody realizes they're doing it. By the end of this breakdown, you'll understand why your morning glucose readings might have nothing to do with what you ate yesterday, and everything to do with what happened between 9 p.m. and midnight. One of these habits can spike your blood sugar by 31% overnight, and it involves something your doctor probably told you was harmless. Before we dive into what's sabotaging your sleep metabolism, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body after sunset. Your circadian rhythm doesn't just control when you feel sleepy, it directly regulates insulin sensitivity on an hourly basis. Research published in Diabetes Care tracked continuous glucose monitors in adults over 55 and found something remarkable. Insulin sensitivity drops by nearly 50% between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. compared to morning levels. Your body is biochemically programmed to process glucose less efficiently at night. This isn't a flaw, it's evolutionary design. For most of human history, we didn't eat after dark. Our metabolic machinery expects a fasting state during sleep, which allows cellular repair processes to activate. When you disrupt this pattern, even slightly, your liver starts releasing stored glucose because it interprets nighttime eating or stress signals as a threat to survival. This triggers a cascade: elevated cortisol, increased glucose output, suppressed melatonin production, and reduced insulin sensitivity. All 5 factors working against you simultaneously. What makes this especially dangerous for anyone over 50 is that age-related muscle loss already reduces your glucose disposal capacity by about 20 to 30%. You have less metabolic buffer, less room for error. A habit that might cause a small glucose bump in a 30-year-old can create a sustained elevation in someone older, and that sustained elevation becomes chronic inflammation, which becomes prediabetes, which becomes the real thing. The behaviors we're about to walk through aren't extreme, they're subtle, and that's exactly why they're so destructive. Number 1, taking your evening walk right before bed. This sounds backwards, doesn't it? Exercise is supposed to lower blood sugar, and it does immediately. A 15-minute walk after dinner can drop your glucose by 20-30 points within the hour. That's well documented. But here's what the studies on exercise timing reveal. Intense or even moderate physical activity within 90 minutes of sleep triggers a cortisol response that doesn't shut off when you lie down. Research from the European Journal of Applied Physiology found that exercise-induced cortisol elevation can persist for 2 to 3 hours post-activity, and cortisol directly signals your liver to release glucose into your bloodstream. You're essentially creating a glucose spike, right, when your body is trying to enter a fasted, restorative state. What happens next is even worse. Your body is flooded with glucose it doesn't need because you're not moving anymore. Insulin gets released to manage it, but remember, your nighttime insulin sensitivity is already compromised. So you end up with both elevated glucose and elevated insulin circulating while you sleep. This combination suppresses deep sleep architecture, reduces growth hormone release, and prevents your cells from properly recycling damaged proteins. You wake up groggy, Your fasting glucose is higher than it should be, and you have no idea why, because all you did was take a healthy walk. If you're doing this regularly, you're programming your metabolism for disaster. The cortisol-glucose loop becomes habitual. Your liver expects that late-night signal and starts releasing glucose in anticipation, even on nights you don't walk. This is called metabolic conditioning, and it's incredibly hard to reverse once established. Number 2, drinking herbal tea with certain ingredients after 7 p.m. This one catches people completely off guard because herbal tea is supposed to be the relaxing, healthy choice, and some varieties are perfectly fine. But specific herbs that show up in popular nighttime blends are causing significant blood sugar disruption without any warning on the package. Licorice root, which appears in at least 40% of calming tea formulations, contains glycyrrhizin, a compound that research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has linked to increased cortisol activity and reduced glucose tolerance. Even small amounts consumed regularly can interfere with how your adrenal glands regulate stress hormones overnight. Then there's chamomile, which most people assume is universally safe. For the majority, it is. But studies show that chamomile can interact with glucose metabolism in people taking metformin or sulfonylureas, either amplifying the blood sugar lowering effect to dangerous levels or, paradoxically, blunting insulin response depending on individual liver enzyme profiles. You think you're sipping something soothing, and your pancreas is getting conflicting chemical signals. Ginger tea is another offender. Ginger is phenomenal for inflammation and digestion during the day, but concentrated ginger consumed at night stimulates thermogenesis. Your metabolic rate increases, core temperature rises slightly, and glucose is mobilized for energy your body doesn't actually need because you're about to sleep. Data from Metabolism Journal showed that nighttime ginger consumption in older adults led to average fasting glucose increases of 12 to 18 mg/dl the following morning. Not massive, but chronic elevation in that range is the difference between normal and pre-diabetic territory over time. If you're reaching for that bedside mug every single night, you're adding stress to an already vulnerable system. What's the alternative? Plain peppermint, plain rooibos, or a simple magnesium supplement in warm water. No herbs, no active compounds messing with your endocrine signaling. Just hydration and relaxation without metabolic interference. Number 3, checking your phone or tablet in bed with the lights off. You already know blue light is bad for melatonin. That's common knowledge now, but what most people miss is the direct link between suppressed melatonin and blood sugar regulation. Melatonin doesn't just make you sleepy, it's a critical signaling molecule for pancreatic beta cells. Research published in Diabetologia found that melatonin directly enhances insulin secretion and improves glucose uptake in muscle tissue. When you blast your retinas with screen light between 9 p.m. and midnight, you're not just delaying sleep onset. You're shutting down a hormone that's supposed to be protecting your glucose metabolism overnight. Melatonin production drops by up to 85% with just 30 minutes of pre-sleep screen exposure, according to Harvard sleep studies. And here's the cruel irony. The dimmer your surrounding environment, the worse the damage. Scrolling in complete darkness makes your pupils dilate wider, allowing more disruptive wavelength penetration. Your brain interprets this as midday sun and suppresses melatonin even more aggressively. The result? Your liver thinks it's daytime and begins gluconeogenesis, literally manufacturing glucose from stored amino acids and fats, because it assumes you need energy for activity. Except you're lying still under the covers, scrolling through news or videos. That glucose has nowhere to go. Insulin resistance worsens. Cellular repair processes stall. By morning, your fasting glucose can be 15 to 25 points higher than it would be with proper melatonin rhythm, and you'll have no idea why, because you didn't eat anything. If you absolutely must use a device after dark, you need orange-tinted blue blockers and screen temperature set below 3000 K. But honestly, the simplest solution is a hard cutoff at 8:30 p.m. Read a physical book under warm, incandescent light. Your pancreas will thank you. Number 4. Eating lean protein as your evening snack. This is the one that trips up almost everyone trying to eat healthy. You've been told to avoid carbs at night, so you reach for turkey slices, a boiled egg, or Greek yogurt before bed. Protein is safe, right? It doesn't spike insulin like sugar does. Except that's not the full story. While protein doesn't cause rapid glucose spikes, certain amino acids, especially the branched-chain amino acids leucine, isoleucine, and valine, stimulate insulin secretion without accompanying glucose. Your body releases insulin in anticipation of nutrients that need to be stored. But when you consume pure protein without any carbohydrate or fat to balance the insulin response, you can actually create a rebound hypoglycemic dip 2 to 3 hours later, usually around 2 or 3 a.m. Your liver detects that dip and dumps glucose to correct it. This is called counter-regulatory glucose release, and it's a survival mechanism. The problem is that glucose dump overshoots. You end up with elevated glucose in the middle of the night, which disrupts sleep quality, increases cortisol, and trains your liver to expect nightly glucose release. Studies from the Journal of Nutrition tracking overnight continuous glucose monitors in older adults found this exact pattern. Late-night protein-only snacks led to average 3 a.m. glucose levels 22% higher than baseline, followed by poor sleep efficiency and elevated morning readings. And because this happens while you're asleep, you never connect the dots. You just wake up tired with high fasting glucose and blame your dinner from 7 hours earlier. The fix is counterintuitive but science-backed. If you need an evening snack, pair a small amount of protein with healthy fat and a tiny bit of slow-digesting carb. A tablespoon of almond butter on a slice of apple. A piece of cheese with 4 whole-grain crackers. This creates a stable, gradual insulin response without the rebound effect. Your liver stays quiet, your glucose stays flat, your sleep stays deep. Number 5. Keeping your bedroom too warm. Temperature regulation and glucose metabolism are far more connected than most people realize. Your body is designed to drop core temperature by 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit during deep sleep. This cooling process is not optional. It's required for proper insulin signaling and cellular glucose uptake. Research from Diabetes Journal found that sleeping in environments above 70 degrees Fahrenheit prevents adequate core cooling, which reduces insulin sensitivity by up to 17% the following day. Think about the mechanism here. When your body can't cool down, it interprets this as a low-level stress signal. Sympathetic nervous system activation increases. Cortisol remains elevated. Glucose gets released. You're essentially in a mild fight-or-flight state all night, and your metabolism responds accordingly. Studies using whole-room calorimetry showed that participants sleeping in 66-degree Fahrenheit rooms had significantly better glucose tolerance and higher morning insulin sensitivity compared to those in 75-degree Fahrenheit rooms, even when diet and activity were identical. The difference wasn't small, it was clinically meaningful. Fasting glucose averaged 8-12 mg to DL lower in the cool sleep group after just 4 weeks. For someone over 60 whose glucose regulation is already compromised, that's the difference between normal and concerning, and it's completely fixable. But here's what makes this habit so insidious. Most people sleep warm because they think it's more comfortable. You pile on blankets, Keep the thermostat at 72 degrees Celsius and assume cozy equals healthy. Meanwhile, your mitochondria are struggling to execute proper metabolic cleanup because they're overheated. Your brown adipose tissue, the metabolically active fat that burns glucose for heat, stays dormant because external warmth makes it unnecessary. You're literally shutting down one of your body's most effective glucose disposal systems just by keeping the room too hot. The solution is simple, but requires adjustment. Bedroom temperature between 65–68 degrees Celsius, breathable cotton sheets, and, if you get cold, add blankets you can shed rather than heating the whole room. Let your core temperature drop naturally. Let your metabolism do what it evolved to do overnight. If you're serious about stabilizing your blood sugar long term, and you want a structured system that addresses not just nighttime habits, but the full 24-hour metabolic cycle, there's a research-backed protocol that walks you through meal timing, supplement strategies, and glucose-stabilizing routines specifically designed for people over 50. You'll find the link to that in the description below or pinned at the top of the comments. It goes way beyond what we can cover here and gives you the complete roadmap. Let's lock this in. Number 1. Stop exercising within 90 minutes of sleep. Cortisol-driven glucose release will wreck your overnight readings. Number 2. Ditch herbal teas with licorice, chamomile, or ginger after 7 p.m. They're silently disrupting your hormonal signaling. Number 3. No screens in bed with lights off. Melatonin suppression kills your natural insulin sensitivity. Number 4. Never eat lean protein alone as a nighttime snack. The rebound glucose spike happens while you're asleep, and you'll never see it coming. Number 5. Sleep in a cool room, 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit maximum. Your metabolism depends on that core temperature drop to function properly. These aren't extreme changes. They don't require willpower or discipline. They just require awareness. And once you make these shifts, your morning glucose readings will start reflecting the work you've actually been doing instead of punishing you for invisible nighttime mistakes. Your energy will stabilize, your sleep will deepen, and the slow creep toward metabolic dysfunction stops right here. Don't wait until your doctor starts mentioning medication. Fix the habits tonight and let your body remember what balanced glucose actually feels like.